What's up, guys? I started recording on the other camera and forgot that I hadn't charged it, and yeah, so I was in a rush this morning and didn't grab anything else, so I'm going to try and do this on my iPhone. So I'm down at my parents' place. I haven't been here other than stopping off for a little while, for a few months, and I'm going to be working on my first gen Honda Civic. It's going down to Keeling Motorsport next week, so we can do the start on the engine swap, which I'll cover in another video. We'll go down there and I'll show you the engine and talk about what we're going to do. Today I'm just trying to get the engine ready to drop. A few months ago I started on pulling the suspension apart, got coilovers to go in and a few other things which we'll talk about as we're doing it. The wheels we're going to be running, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So there's not going to be a lot of content from this because I haven't got any of my camera stuff here and no one's here to really help. But this is the engine. This is a 1978 Honda Civic, so it's the later edition of the first gen. The engine is an EB3, which is a 1.2 litre 8 valve head, makes like 40 something kilowatt, about 62, 66 horsepower, somewhere around there. I really wanted to build it, and I've even got the valve springs sitting in the car for when I was going to start, but it's just impossible trying to find parts for it. I mean, it is possible, it's just the time, effort and money to try and make the same amount of power as a like a late model, a D16 or something along those lines is difficult. So that plan kind of went by the wayside, especially like trying to get carbs. I couldn't find an inlet manifold for it. There was a few options for secondhand inlet manifolds and carbs floating around, but they all kind of needed rebuilding and they were really obscure kind of things. So yeah, we're just going to go down a later model engine. So yeah, this is hopefully we'll get done, and I'll try and show you some updates as we go. So you'll notice the windscreen hasn't got its surround or anything on there. When we went to pick this up, we got it on the trailer. I forgot a couple of tow straps, strapped it down with what we had through the globes, and those wheels within about 10 minutes rubbed through, and we managed to smash the windscreen trying to get to Super Cheap. So that'll teach me to do that. But what I'll do before I really get started, I'll show you inside as well. There might be a little bit of glass on the ground. Actually no, Ellie clean that all up. So this is a bog stock EB3. It's still got the placard on one of the doors. It's even got the plastic on it. These are the replacement LCAs. I went with second gen Civic stuff. It's 10mm longer, and I'll show you where that is later when we go to fit them. 4-speed manual. There was a 5-speed, but it's rare as hen's teeth over here. It's overall interior wise in really good condition, like the roof lining and everything. It was a really sort of decent car. I really wanted one with a black interior and door cards, but I couldn't find anything. So yeah, look, I mean, the plan is to just turn this into have a little bit of fun with, something that's a little bit unsuspecting to people. So I gave the bay a quick degrease. First step now is to disconnect the battery. So I've already pulled the positive and negative terminal off. It's not a water bottle. It's like a washer fluid bag, essentially. This still has the original one. I pulled that off. It sits there usually. So now we just need to disconnect or undo the mounts holding it down and pull the battery out, and then we are going to disconnect the bottom radiator hose down there. It's just a standard clamp. Drain the fluid. Then there's really not much else to these. Like, it's an old car, so it doesn't have all the wiring, it doesn't have plugs for the injectors, all that kind of stuff. So it really won't take too long to get it ready to drop. So the battery's out, the coolant's out. I've taken the air filter off and the assembly. So there's a couple of back lines there that have to come off, which are floating around here. They're pretty old and brittle. Mine came off easily. And the bigger one there is just the breather from the rocker to the filter for emissions crap. There's the vac advance there for the distributor. So I'm really crappy at trying to record and whatever at the same time. I still need to drop the oil from the gearbox and from the engine. But what I'm just going to do at the moment while the rest of the coolant's just dripping out is pull off the accessories. So I've already done the choke, which is here. All you do is you take the slack off the line, and then this little thing can pop out of there. So it's pretty little thing can pop out of there. It's pretty self-explanatory, and you do the exact same process with the throttle cable just down here. And then you just need to undo it. You just loosen it off here. Just I think it's a 10 mil probably, or an 8. Pretty sure it's a 10. So you loosen that off and that will just pop out of there. Then there's not really much else. There's just a couple of cables. You got the canister here, which will need to be undone. Pretty much all of that will be coming out of the engine. You've got your heater hoses here, the torque arm from the engine back to the firewall, and there's not really much else. You'll probably speedo cable will have to come out, which should be this here. Yep, that's it. And then she's pretty much good to drop once I get the other side done. So it's all pretty easy under here to remove it. We need to undo the lower control arm and ball joint just down under here to so we can get the drive shaft out. You need to undo the cotter pins and drag those out just there and there if it wants to focus. We're just going to pull pretty much the whole assembly out. If you were just doing the swap, all you would need to do is pull this off, the ball joint, and that off. I think that should do it. You might need to disconnect the sway bar, and then yeah, just that stuff. So it's all pretty simple stuff. It's just, it's been sitting there a while, so it's going to be a little tricky to try and get off. If it is, just spray it with some WD-40 and try not to strip anything, because it's just going to be a pain in the ass getting replacement parts.